Let's talk about one of the more unfortunate stories in the NHL. And this is one that I really, honestly, haven't visited in a long time. I don't remember the last time I talked about this player on my channel before, if at all. I might have thrown in a few comments here and there talking about a potential trade that did happen a long time ago that resulted in the Vancouver Canucks getting their current captain. But all in all, Cory Schneider is not a player that I've talked about much on this YouTube platform. We're talking about him today because Cory Schneider was just sent on waivers. And that isn't the entire story. If you want to talk about why exactly everything is going down, using all of the technical terms, the Devils have assigned Cory Schneider on waivers for the purpose of assignment to Binghamton. Along with this, the Devils have also recalled Louis Domingue from their AHL affiliate. So they essentially just swapped out Cory for Domingue, and they said, Cory, go down to the AHL, recuperate yourself, and I don't know what's going to happen after. Now, this is an unfortunate situation because Cory Schneider has legitimately been one of the better goaltenders at the start of the 2010s. We all kind of know the story. Him and Luongo were battling for the crease in Vancouver. Back when Cory Schneider was a Canuck, he was a 196 goals against average goalie with a 937 save percentage in 2012, one of the best performances in the league that year. He gets traded over to New Jersey. He has a pretty okay tenure as their starter for a few years, and then things go kind of south. He doesn't win a game for a year. A serious calendar year in the regular season between Wednesday, December 27th in 2017, all the way up until December 14 of 2018, he doesn't win a regular season game. He almost loses for an entire year. Now, he squeaks in a playoff win once in that span, but that doesn't really count. It's not the regular season. But Cory Schneider today is sitting at an 0-4-1 record, a 4.59 goals against average, and an 8.52 save percentage. That's not great. He hasn't won a game all year, which makes sense. And a lot of that has to do with, let's face it, hip stuff. Sure, the Devils aren't great in their own regard. They got a really long stretch of the beginning of the season where they were not doing well. But it's kind of like everything hasn't been going as well as it could be for the Devils. Jack Hughes hasn't been the most productive. I will say he's been good, but he hasn't been as productive as people thought he would be. The New Jersey Devils as a whole haven't necessarily been impressing in the standings like people thought they would. Right now, at the moment, the Devils are all the way down there at last in the Metro. Yeah, it's not great. They're third last in the East, which is not great for a team that just won the first overall pick and have won 2 first overall picks in 3 drafts. Yeah, it's not great. And Schneider has not been great. But I will say that Schneider has been amazing, much, much, much better than great in the past. So taking a look at how this 33-year-old goalie has progressed throughout his career, it's really unfortunate for me to take a look at it and say, darn, this is the guy that we got Bo Horvat for. Huh. And sure, some people will take a look at that trade back then and say, oh, well, the Canucks honestly kind of got fleeced because they only got the 9th overall pick back then. Edmonton was offering a higher draft pick, more prospects, and another goalie back, right? But hold your horses, the Canucks didn't want to trade to a division rival back then, which makes sense, but honestly, if you got more for Schneider than a Horvat, then whoa, things could have been much different today, but whatever. In hindsight, Schneider for Horvat, 1-for-1, is such a steal. Even if Schneider was just a normal starter that was just good in the NHL, I would still think that captain-worthy Bo Horvat is a much more valuable piece, especially with how the Canucks have Markstrom and Demko today. But it's so weird looking at how Schneider has declined, and it's unfortunate taking a look at how things are now. The fact that he needs to go over to Binghamton in the AHL to reassign himself. And that's a terrible word to use, but that's the wording that's used in the tweet, purpose of assignment. So pretty much just make him better, I guess. Cory Schneider has had some time in Binghamton before, but that was just a really short little stint that wasn't extraordinarily long. He was with Binghamton last season for 8 games, and in those 8 games, he had an .881 save percentage and a .324 goals against average, which is not great either. Like, those numbers in the NHL are considered bad. What more than those numbers in the gosh darn AHL? Now, if you're here for a little bit of a story, I guess we can get into why exactly things have gone on. I'm no expert on the Devils, so Devils fans, if you're here, I don't talk about the Devils often. I talk about the Hughes and the Gusevs once in a while, but if you're a Devils fan and you want to contribute to this, by all means, comment down below, tell me where I'm wrong, tell me how this story goes on, because from my understanding, Cory Schneider's injuries have just been so bad that things have just gone south. We talked about how Schneider didn't win a game for a year, pretty much. And we also talked about Schneider in the AHL last year. It's actually kind of funny because immediately after Schneider won his first game in almost a year, that's when he took a little bit of a break from the NHL. He didn't play an NHL game from December up until February, and he was in the AHL then. He played AHL games in January of 2019, a few in February, and then he came back to the NHL. And it's actually kind of weird because when he did come back, Schneider was honestly pretty good. The month that Cory Schneider came back was February 2019. He had a .935 save percentage in February 2019 and a goals against average of 2. Those are really good NHL numbers. And Schneider was just great. Then in March, he had a .913 save percentage and was still pretty good. So people were thinking that, okay, Schneider has finally gotten over things, his injury woes, no more, and he's gonna be good, right? Well, come game 1 of 2019-20, the guy's got cramps. Cramps is what they say. And ultimately, a lot of Devils fans today are taking a look at it and saying that the hip stuff, these cramps that apparently lingered on, were the beginnings of a bigger problem with Cory Schneider. And that sucks. It really does suck. Because now we're taking a look at a goalie who was elite, who was really good for a span of time, and who has been riddled with injuries and is now going back to the AHL for, what is it, his 4th, 5th stint in 3 years, something like that? Oh boy, that's unfortunate. Now I will say that the positive point of view from Devils fans is that, hey, at least we didn't draft Nichushkin, because heavy speculation was reported that the Devils were indeed in on Valeri Nichushkin instead of Bo Horvat. Bo Horvat, as I said, was a reach at number 9. So if you're a Devils fan, along with contributing to the discussion about Schneider, would you rather have had a few years of Valeri Nichushkin or the Cory Schneider situation that you have now? Because I'll tell you what, either of those situations ends poorly. It's just that the Schneider situation does have a very, very strong high point, where he is an elite goalie and he is a really great player. It's just unfortunate the way things are now. And the most important question that some people I've seen are asking is, what the heck is Jack Hughes going to do now? Because Hughes was staying with Schneider's family. I'm not sure if Hughes has a driver's license in New Jersey yet, but if he doesn't, then oh boy. Now, that obviously is just me joking around, but in all seriousness, Cory Schneider was amazing. I really hate seeing things end the way that they have, and I don't know what's going to happen next. Well, let's just hope that the same thing kind of happens from last year, this year, where he comes back to the NHL and is a legit beast. But I don't know. We'll see. Hope you enjoyed this video, Social 9, and Bye.